the way they can repay you and reward you for your prophethood is to have mawaddah, to have compassion, to have love toward qurba, toward your family, toward those who are your relatives and close members of your family. And to us, no one can argue. Let's be very clear. When it comes to the word of Ahlul Bayt, there's a debate among the Muslims. Who are the Ahlul Bayt? Some make the scope of Ahlul Bayt to be wider, including multiple different parties, including his wives, his relatives. But for the followers of the school of Ahlul Bayt, for us, Ahlul Bayt are very, very specific. Not anyone who has a blood relation to Rasulullah or has a connection to Rasulullah is Ahlul Bayt. For example, we know that Abu Lahab was Prophet's uncle. He was from the same blood. But Allah says, Tabbat yada Abi Lahabin wa tab. May the hands of Abu Lahab be perished. So for us, Ahlul Bayt are exclusively Prophet Ali and Fatima alayhim salam, and their children, which are the 12th Imam or 11th Imam from the descendant of Imam Ali and Fatima az-Zahra. No one else is Ahlul Bayt. No one else. All, even the children of the Imam, all the Sadat, they're Sayyid, and we respect them because of Rasulullah, but they're not Ahlul Bayt. And Qurba, and those who are close to Rasulullah, let's be clear. The common ground of all Muslims that nobody can question, this is the common ground, is that everyone, Shia and Sunni, agrees that Fatima is Ahlul Bayt. Everyone agrees that Ali alayhi salam is Ahlul Bayt. And everyone agrees that Hassan and Hussein alayhi salam were among the Ahlul Bayt. So for us, those that we adhere to them, this is not someone that the other school of thought can reject. And we ask Allah on this day, that again, this is a day that we honor two of the Ahlul Bayt, Prophet and Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam, that we have that what Quran says, we have mawaddah, we have that love and compassion to his Ahlul Bayt and his family, inshallah, a form of compassion that we show it and express it in our lives. With the basic things such as naming our children after them, to more practical than having Majlis in their honor and their remembrance. And of course, very, very important is to follow their path, follow their teachings, and follow their legacy, inshallah, with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So I promised that we're going to answer a question last night, right? Anybody remember what was the question? It was a long lecture, I know. But let me repeat it.
Why do some people have a difficult time?
Very good. So the question was, people ask why there is different type of death for different individuals. And even sometimes they don't make sense to someone. For example, we see good people who have difficult death, and we see, God forbid, corrupt and sinful individuals who have a very easy death. What's the explanation? So in order to understand that, we have to be clear what we mean by death in Islam. What we mean by death is going from this dunya to the hereafter. It's not just the process of somebody's physical life coming to an end. So there is what is known as biological death. For that, again, it could be either some people have it difficult and some people have it easy. The biological death, right? For example, when you look at the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, none of them had an easy death. We just had a conversation about Rasulullah, that we heard two terms about Rasulullah. One is wafat, means that he passed away. And we also heard the word shahada, istishhad, which means martyrdom. Which that one is based on the idea that in history there are sources that they refer to that Prophet was poisoned. And again, there's also a difference of opinion there as well. Who poisoned Prophet? If it was poisoned, long time before his death, or it was right before his death, and that's not the subject of our discussion. But in general, what we know for sure is that the life of the prophets of God, including their death, not always was an easy death. So for example, Prophet Yahya alayhi salam, is we have that his shahada was similar to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That Yahya alayhi salam was also beheaded. Same as when you look at the Ahlul Bidah alayhi salam. Imam Ali alayhi salam's biological, it was with the strike of a sword in the middle of Salat. When you look at Imam al-Hassan, it was with poisoning. It took few days for this poison to spread out through his body and eventually cause his shahada. Imam al-Hussein, of course, we know the story, the musibah, the maqtal, we heard of it. So based on that, let's be very clear that when we speak of how their lives come to an end, the promise of Allah was never that will be an easy death. Right? The same way the dunya that we live in is not necessarily easy for the believer either. Some people, Allah said, we test them by taking away blessings from them with hardship. Some people, we bless them and we test them by giving the blessing to them. Both is the case. Ayyub alayhi salam was tested by losing everything Allah gave him. He lost his wealth, he lost his children, he lost his even reputation among people. It was all that hardship for Ayyub alayhi salam. Sulaiman alayhi salam and Dawood alayhi salam, they were tested by being granted a kingdom, by being granted power. So the test of even prophets of God is not the same. Same as with Yusuf alayhi salam. Once he was tested by being betrayed by his own brother at one stage, and later on he became the administrator of Egypt. He was now in a position of power. So when we think of death, that death will be easy, we're not talking necessarily about biological death. Some people maybe biologically they go through